Mr. Salve, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm calling this the CAA explainer because I'm going to take the opportunity to, to try and give our viewers a simple, understandable explainer on the subject from India's #1 constitutional law expert. And I'll have a grid on, which is, do you agree with Harish Salve? Viewers, feel free to disagree. He's a tolerant man. If 99% of you feel you disagree with him, I'll put that on, and vice versa. Mr. Salve, my first question to you is this. The politically correct group of people have started saying, loosely using the word discrimination. They are not looking at helping Hindus or Sikhs or Buddhists who are discriminated in Afghanistan, Pakistan, or Bangladesh. They are talking about how we, by giving them a home, are discriminating against everyone else in the world almost entirely. Why not Rohingyas? Why not Ahmadiyas? Why not this? Why not that? Why not the rest of the world? This, along with the argument that this is fundamentally anti-secularism. So if you can deal with these two issues first, discrimination and secularism.
So let me deal with it on at two levels, Arnab. One is discrimination in a larger political sense, and the other is discrimination in what I call the narrow constitutional sense. I would not use the word discrimination because every country has to balance priorities. We would like to help our neighbors. We would like to help people in distress. We have ourselves come out of, we are struggling to come out of poverty, we are marching towards our day in the sun. We are heading towards becoming a developing country. We know the pains of growing. How much can we reach out to people from other distressed parts of the world? How many tears can we wipe? Is a matter of balancing priorities. That's an argument of policy. Somebody can say India should have open doors for all its neighbors. If there is strife in Sri Lanka, let them in. If there is strife in Burma, let them in. If the Rohingyas are being treated badly, let them in, and so on. Like some of the Western world, some of the more developed countries have, in fits and starts, have had open doors, as they say. That's a policy argument. In that sense, but discrimination is the word which rings false in this. There are international conventions for grant of asylum. We are not parties to those kind of this. But even the globe, even the world has international conventions, rules are to be followed. So one is, that's the political argument. What is the political rationale for what we are doing? And you heard it in the Home Minister's statement. We have three neighboring countries. Afghanistan is actually, what is today geographically Afghanistan, was part of this whole area of right from Balkh and those areas. And there were three communities there. There were the Parsis, the Zoroastrians, there were Sikhs, there were Buddhists, apart from Muslims. And I want to say this today. My wife, who's from a Muslim family of Afghanistan, she says when they grew up, when she was a young girl, 50, 60 years ago, she says at that time it was family, community, religion. And that's how the country was understood. They had liberal, they were very liberal, they had social lives and society which looked pretty much like what Indian society looks today. Now, today, then came the Taliban, the Taliban and that kind of radicalization. So they have become an Islamic country. Now, there is a large diaspora of Buddhists, of the non-Islamics, who have faced problems because of this radicalization. The Home Minister gave the figures of the dramatic drop in the population of non-Islamic segments of society. Same with Pakistan. Pakistan was born in 1947. Otherwise, we were part of the same Indian subcontinent. And there was a large Hindu, Buddhist, Zoroastrian population there. Their figures have dropped. And the same with Bangladesh. So if we say these are people of our ethnicity, right now with our resources, and a large number of them already in India, They have already made it to India. They are floundering as refugees in India without citizenship, and we say we give them citizenship. I frankly don't understand what the brouhaha is all about. As far as all you're doing is you're giving them citizenship, but you're not closing your doors to all others. And anybody else who wants citizenship comes in by the normal route of the Citizenship Act. This is under the Citizenship Amendment Act. The CAA picks out these few people and gives them citizenship. Are we exhausting a quota? We don't have quotas of citizenship. I mean, we can give citizenship to as many people as we want. So I don't understand where all this discrimination argument is coming from. And the thing that it's like saying if you do something for one class of society, you must do it for all. This is a
but
very
shouldn't you?
This is
But shouldn't you,
one.
Mr. Salve, shouldn't you? There's been this constant use of Article 14 to back up that argument that Article 14 provides equal protection to all people.
So yes,
and it says to all persons. It does not specify Indian citizens.
Let me give you a very simple example. If you distribute free gas cylinders to those whose income is below 50,000 or below 20,000 a year, are you discriminating against those whose income is 30,000 a year or 40,000 a year? No, you're not. You're today saying, I wish I could give a free gas cylinder to every Indian household, but I can't. So how many can I distribute? I can distribute this much. It's a national priority. So I'm giving it to that class of people. There's no question of discrimination here. Article 14 allows classification. What is classification? Classification is the group you select must have a nexus with the object you seek to achieve. Is this a defined class of people? Yes. People who live in the Islamic republics in our neighborhood and who are facing religious discrimination. Why? They are facing religious discrimination by definition. Because when you say you're a theocratic country, other religions, you're not secular. So you do not give the right to practice your own religion to religions other than the state religion. Can that be a valid basis for creating a class? The answer is obviously yes. Now, if that is the basis for creating a class geographically, the three neighboring countries, is that a basis for creating a class? Yes.
But to that comes the argument of arbitrariness. To that comes, Mr. Salve, the argument of arbitrariness. The argument being that the Constitution is supreme, the Constitution cannot be played around with. You have a pro-Hindu government creating a policy and a classification for groups who are Hindu. So it is a sort of Hindu for Hindu and kind of approach tomorrow. Yeah. So where the argument of arbitrariness comes.
Is it suggested that let's fantasize, and I can only use I can't use a more polite word. Let's fantasize that Rahul Gandhi was prime minister and he brought a law like this. The law would not be arbitrary. But if Modi
I don't know if that's a fantasy or a nightmare, sir, but yes.
But so arbitrariness has to be per se, not because of Hindu nationalist government. If the Congress, in again a fantasy, maybe in a burst of good sense, had brought this law, because right from the days of the Constitution, Pandit Nehru had recognized this. Everybody had recognized this. If before they got caught into this this particular definition of secularism, if they had brought the law, it would not have been arbitrary. But because it is brought by what they call a Hindu nationalist government, a phrase which I despise, if they brought by a Hindu nationalist government, it becomes arbitrary. Arbitrary is something which has no rationale. It is a catchphrase for something which is discriminatory. There are some judgments which have said manifest arbitrariness. Manifest means on the face of it, it is absurd. Now, why is it arbitrary? Because it is discriminatory. Now, make up your mind. Therefore, you're saying it is discriminatory. Discrimination is a recognized head of law in which if something is discriminatory, it violates Article 14. Now, what is discrimination? Discrimination doesn't mean one law for all. You cannot have the same law for the lion and the lamb, as we say. So, there are two principles of constitutional law. It is called underclassification and overclassification. Underclassification is where dissimilar people are treated similarly. the same law for the land and the land. Overclassification is people from the same class are treated differently. So we have to identify the class.
But every single loophole, I would call it a clutching at straws argument. Every straw will be clutched onto for dear life in the fight against CAA. There was this video going around of a 2020 speech by a young lawyer. I think he's Justice Chandrachud's son, Abhinav Chandrachud, where the argument being made in the course of that speech was, sir, can you just check your screen? Why not Jews?
Why not Jews?
Why not Jews?
Yeah, if there were, theoretically, if there were a large number of Jews who were of Indian ethnicity and who were living in Pakistan, then maybe yes, somebody could have said, look, there are Parsis, there are Buddhists, there are Christians, there are Hindus, and there are Jews.
Yeah.
And they're all from the same stock. Why have you left out the Jews? How many people, how many Jews there? And how many people are Jews of Indian origin? Not people who have migrated from what is Central Asia.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you, sir. I can hear you.
So one can say, why don't you have Ethiopians? Of course, they are not there.
Yeah. Why not Iranians? Yeah, why not Iranian women who are being discriminated by their own government and their own people by misogynistic rules?
If you go a little further up north, you know the controversy about the Chinese and how they treat the Uyghurs.
Uyghurs, yeah. Why not Uyghur Muslims in China?
What about the Chechens? What about the ethnic cleansing which went on in Eastern Europe? If I wish,
why not? Why not? That's what, no, I'm asking you why not? Why not? I mean, I'm asking you this. The basic argument being put by the set out here.
I wish God had endowed us with the resources to wipe every tear from every eye. But if we can't wipe every tear from every eye, does it mean that we don't wipe any tears at all? And that's the principle. If today, it would be a wonderful thing if we could give free medicine to everybody. You go to Scotland, you walk into, if you have an NHS prescription, you walk in, you're not charged for the medicine. In India, poor people get free medicine, rich people don't get medicine. Shouldn't everybody get free medicine? Of course you should. Do we have the resources? We don't. Is it discrimination? Certainly not.
Okay.
So, as constitutional law, Arnab, let me close it by telling you, in constitutional law, we say you do not have to do something for everybody in order to do something for a few, as long as the few can be rationally classified.
Sir, I have a counter to you on this, and I'm just checking for an update of how many people are agreeing with you, how many people are disagreeing with you. Last I heard, 77% of people are agreeing with you. It's a live poll. I don't know where it stands now. People are polling on Republic World right now. So, you know, sir, if I had been a lawyer, I would have first started my career under you. I have not got that opportunity anyway. I'm one of those frustrated people who would have wanted to be lawyers, but then, you know, we never got the opportunity. But since I have this conversation, let me ask you, sir. The contrary argument to that would be, Mr. Salve, that human beings are not commodities. Human beings are not like oil, where you say that as a government's policy decision, the government decides to buy oil from Russia, and Jaishankar and Hardeep Puri defend it. Yes, it's a policy decision. But human beings are not oil. You have a right to decide where to buy oil from, but you do not have the right to decide who is persecuted and who is not based upon your political preference. So you are trying to say that it's a government's policy. I'm saying, but human beings cannot be subject to the same test as commodities.
I'm sorry, I'm not using government's policy. It's the nation's policy. So this is not, let's not trivialize it by saying it's the government's of the day's policy. It is the nation's policy to try and help as many as we can. We have helped so many countries in distress where human beings needed aid. Are we sending aid today to Gaza? And can somebody say you are sending aid to Gaza, why not to Syria? And if you're sending aid to Gaza and Syria, why not to Iraq? You do as much as you can. And for people with whom you identify. Don't we do things for Bhutan? Don't we do things for Sri Lanka? When Sri Lanka got into difficulty, financial crisis, we bailed them out. What about other countries who are in financial crisis? Have we tried to bail Brazil out when they went under? Can you say, and it's all, when all this happens, there's an index of human misery. So is it said that you must either not help anybody else who's miserable or help everybody who's miserable? Why? Because human beings are not a commodity. This logic doesn't work for me.
You think this, by the way, the number is corrected. It's 93% who are agreeing with you now. So numbers going up as we
something
speak.
Wrong. I'm not used to people agreeing with me, but
I don't know, sir. You've been more than lucky in court on that. Not lucky, you've been gifted in court. But having said that, sir, that's they bring this argument of Ahmadiyya Muslims,
yes,
compassion extending to all. I'm not saying go with a microscope, but blasphemy rules have been applied against them in Pakistan. There are unfortunately people in India also. In fact, the Muslim Personal Law Board does not allow Ahmadiyya representation in the Muslim Personal Law Board. But then why does the government not have enough empathy towards them?
Let me answer you straight away. Again, first as a constitutional lawyer and then on a principle. As a constitutional lawyer, you have to see what is the class we have created. The classification is based on certain countries being theocratic, where there is a majority religion, the state religion. And then you have the non-state religions. And non-state religions are not allowed freedom of practice. Now, how the state, within the state religion, there may be divisions. How the state manages its state religion, if you were to poke your nose in that, you would be playing America. And I can't use a stronger and a more derogatory expression. Because I don't think any country has a right to poke its nose in the affairs of another country. Who are we to tell Pakistan that you don't know how to treat your own national religion? So, first of all, I have an objection on principle. And secondly, as a matter of classification, if the classification as a constitutional law proposition is between the state religion and giving succor to those who are not in the state religion, it's a valid classification. How would we like, Arnab, tomorrow, if Pakistan said, we know you're a Hindu majority country, but there are 3 communities amongst Hindus who are not properly treated. We want to give them citizenship. How would we like that?
Two practical questions. How will we handle a situation where a Hindu from Nepal, which is a Hindu majority state, says, in a Hindu majority state, I am facing discrimination?
Exactly.
Would the test of
discrimination? He has to. Can we solve the problem of blacks in America? Nepal is a Hindu state. He is a Hindu. That means it is just malgovernance. We are not interfering. America has done this. That, you people don't know how to run your country. You're a bad democracy. We will therefore come. We will interfere. We will try and fix you. And if nothing has happened, we'll topple your governments and take
what if half a million people what if 500,000 people from Pakistan and Bangladesh convert to Hinduism and demand citizenship in India, saying that increases the potential risk of them being discriminated?
Correct. Now,
how will we tackle that?
December. Okay. Do we have a valid cutoff? Yes. Would they be entitled to, and India says, sorry, we are not going to give this to you. Would they be entitled? No, because they are a different class. These are people who by birth are Sikhs.
But we've given a cutoff of December 2014. We've given a cutoff of December 2014. Is that to say, Mr. Salve, that in December 2015 or December 2018, no discrimination has happened? In fact, there are many instances of discrimination having happened after that.
Again, as a country, are we entitled to say, we are addressing a problem? People have come here. As of today, everybody who has come in, we are willing to work with. We cannot do more. We cannot do more. Who knows? 2014, if we have the resources and if the numbers show up, may tomorrow become 2018. Nothing is, these are not cast in stone. Let's not miss the real principle of this.
In fact, I don't know. I mean, last question from you on this, I don't know whether it will be true or an overstatement. What do you think that if we were to take the argument of these people who call themselves left liberals on this, would we end up having an open door policy, which is so much of Europe is suffering from?
Yeah.
Open
And
the doors to
believe
everyone.
me,
It affects your economy. It affects your job situation, everything.
I can't share any details with you because I was professionally consulted by the British government on certain issues relating to their laws of asylum and slavery. And the entire immigration service in one voice said, our system has collapsed. This is where they find themselves. Look at what they are doing with Rwanda and sending people off to Rwanda. If you want asylum, you go to Rwanda. I have seen, Arnab, I am on the monitoring committee for Rwanda. I have seen the plight of those who come by the boat. I was there. We were taken to see one of the boats landing. It wrenches your heart. Oh, what do you do? Does it mean you have open borders?
No.
And allow the people smugglers to flourish by smuggling people like this? So, these are very complex social issues. I wish countries had the wherewithal to reach out and help brothers everywhere. Today, look at Africa. Look at certain parts of Africa. Look at the DRC. Look at Nigeria. Look at their pathetic condition. Should we help them? They are also poor people. We are also poor people. If you look, we are all victims of the British Raj. But what should we do? Should we reach out and help them? I wish we could. We can't.
It's a very, very reasonable argument. What I find fascinating about the argument of Harish Salve this evening is that it's been very rooted in practical logic, staunch nationalism. It's not hyper-technical. He's a fiery nationalist and he set up a fantastic debate. Great response. What's the latest number right now on the screen? I just want to tell him that before you go, 94% of people are agreeing with Harish Salve tonight. The entire interview is going to be put up on our digital streams. Mr. Salve, as always, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to speak to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for setting this up for me tonight. And taking this forward is...
it bothered me, when I heard.
Yes.
And one thing I want to leave you with, Arnab. I don't know whether I heard it right, but somebody said X state and Y state are saying we will not implement the law. Are they suggesting that if somebody is given an Indian passport, it will not be valid in that state?
It's crazy. It's crazy, sir. I can't tell you. That'll be another debate with you another time on the extent of federalism and the arguments of against and for federalism and the misinterpretation of it before the elections. We'll do that before the elections start. Mr. Salve, look forward to seeing you again, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.